This week, Justin Andrews joins us from General Cigar. He's the brand manager for Torano and Diesel brands. So that'll be a fun interview to kick off the show. Then Joe and I are going to do this kind of mixture segment. We're going to talk a little bit about some cigars we've been smoking. We're going to talk about how to pick up some value price cigars, get some deals out there on some of the stuff that I've acquired recently, and compare that with some higher end stuff that we've bought, and just kind of talk about, the overall strategy for acquiring cigars. All that and more on this edition of the Stogie Geeks Show. This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. Joe and I are already silly.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Hosempa, a.k.a. Joe Hollywood, is here with me in studio.
I'm fired up.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo. Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. This is episode number 279. It is, in fact, Friday, June 29th, 2018. Did I go that right?
Got it right.
Whew, that's good. I'm here with Joe Hosempa. Of course, I'm Paul Sidorian. He's Joe Hosempa. And we're the Stogie Geeks.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Welcome back.
I know. I've been.
It's like a cameo appearance by Paul Azadorian.
I know. I've been. I took a lot of Fridays off, I think.
Yeah.
I think that was the issue, is when we moved the show to Friday, the scheduling got all kinds of messed up, and I had to take a bunch of Fridays off to do family stuff. So it is good to be back. I'm excited about today's show. I don't think we really have any announcements. I think we can jump right into it with our guest today from General Cigar, Justin Andrews. A little bit about Justin. He had a brief stint in professional baseball, which is talk a little bit about that. I'm told his family has been growing tobacco in North Carolina and Virginia for generations. Justin got involved with the cigar industry, became obsessed with tobacco knowledge, much as Joe and I have been, and many of us here at the Stogie Geeks. And today is the brand manager for the Diesel and Torano brands. Justin, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back again.
Yeah, Justin was on the show when I wasn't here, which it's weird. I've done a lot of Stogie Geeks episodes. Thankfully, I'm here when Justin is to do the interview, which is awesome. So Justin was on episode, what did you say, 208 or 9 or something like that?
Yes, if you want to look up Justin's episode,
yeah.
It's Stogie Geeks episode number 208, and it was in November of 2016.
Awesome. So, Justin, tell us a little bit about the baseball thing, because I've coached my sons. I played Little League, and I coached my sons. Well, my older son has moved on to different activities. My middle son just completed or almost done with his first season in T-ball, and he loves it. So what was it like to be that brief stint as a professional baseball player?
Yeah, brief being the key word there. But baseball was always a big part of my life. Growing up, I was a 3-sport athlete, so baseball, basketball, football. I was just able to continue baseball a little bit longer than the other 2 sports. But great passion. I loved it. I missed it every day. Played in college. Played in the Marlins organization for, like I said, about a cup of coffee. Realized I wasn't nearly as good as I thought I was. But, the older I get, the better my stories get. So I'm sure if we recap this in a couple years, I would have hit a couple bombs off of Roger Clemens back in the day. And
right?
Made it all the way to the show.
Did you have any home runs when you played?
That was basically my only use, man. They had me out there for the stick, so I was pretty much a defensive liability, but fortunately I could swing the pole a little bit.
Right. It's awesome.
That's because you're in the wrong division. If you were in the American League, you could have played for the Yankees or Red Sox as a DH.
There you go.
Guaranteed, because they have a bunch of useless DHs. You know what I mean? That's all they are, is good for the designated hitter. And you put them in the field, it's like, I didn't bring my glove to work today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
That's right, man. I was a few years too soon and in the wrong league.
Yeah. Plus, I would imagine we had the opportunity to interview another gentleman here on Stogie Geeks who had a stint with AAA ball, and it's just at that level, AAA, and then obviously playing professional baseball. It's got to be ultra competitive. Like, I mean, it's got to be. I mean, it's the Olympics of the sport, right? You know, it's just it's got to be ultra competitive for sure.
Well, and when you think about the odds, I mean, they beat it into you as you're going through the system. Just how the odds are stacked against you, and I think it's I won't recall the odds because it's pretty crazy, but I know like coming up, not only did you have to be the best player on your high school team, you had to be one of the best players in your conference. You had to be one of the best players in your state. Then you had to be one of the best players in your region. Then you had to be one of the best players on the East Coast. And that's just to get to college. That's just to get to a good program. So when scouts would tell me as a kid that, the odds of you making it are slim to none, thankfully I didn't really listen to them that much. But now that I look back and reflect, it's virtually impossible to get there. So you got to have the talent, got to play right, got to play well, right place, right time in front of the right people, got to stay healthy. So all those things are factors. But ultimately, all of us have to hang up the cleats at one point or another. So whether that's high school, college, or the pros, it happens to all of us. And
lucky for you, your family was in the tobacco business.
There you go.
Which is what brought you here, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Things go full circle. It's funny. I remember as a kid, my grandfather pulling up in his old Ford F-100 and taking me to tobacco auctions. And I remember picking sucker leaf as a kid. And as my baseball career progressed, I became less and less involved in the tobacco part of it, which fortunately, funny enough, my mother was very excited about that. Mm-hmm. And so now that things have gone full circle and I'm back in the tobacco business, it's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, Justin, the farms that your family had in North Carolina and Virginia, is that primarily tobacco for the cigarette industry or
Yes.
chewing tobacco or both? Or like what was the...
Both. So cigarette tobacco and chewing tobacco.
I gotcha. And that's a different... Is it a different strain of the plant? Or different strain, right?
Absolutely. It is a different strain. And that's why most of us farming families have farms in different areas. And if you don't, you specialize in one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was mainly cigarette and chewing tobacco.
Cool. And then, so how did you get into the cigar industry?
I was in college. So when I retired / stopped getting paid from baseball, I decided that it'd probably be a good idea to go finish my education. So I went and got my undergraduate degree. And actually saw an ad on Craigslist. I was graduating right around the time the economy wasn't doing that well, and we were in a bit of a recession. So all of us undergrads were taking internships and clawing and scratching for any opportunity we could get. And I saw a Craigslist ad that said, looking for a marketing student to help launch a new cigar company. And coming from my tobacco background, I was like, well, I know cigarette tobacco. I know chewing tobacco. What's the difference in cigar tobacco? So little did I know. But yeah, I was one of, I believe it was like 35 or 40 people that answered the ad. And fortunately for me, I got the position and eventually grew to be part owner of the company. So I was very fortunate that to have that opportunity.
Which company was that, Justin?
Lou Rodriguez Cigars.
Okay, yeah.
So we were a small boutique company based out of North Carolina. Lou is a physician, and his uncle Gregorio Vasquez owns G&G Cigars in Esteli, Nicaragua. So we were one of the few, if not probably the only, boutique cigar company back in 2010 that was vertically integrated. We controlled everything from seed to shelf. So
wow.
It was a very...
Uh-oh, Justin's frozen.
It's bad weather down in Florida.
Is that where he is? I was going to ask where he was. He's in Florida.
Yeah, it's most likely, yeah, unless he's on travel. Yeah, usually good.
It looked like Florida. Is it Miami? Because he's smoking in his office, so I was like, maybe that's not North Carolina. Like, smoking in your office is something I think happens in Florida.
Yeah,
and I mean here in the office, which is that's unicorn status right there.
Yeah, I'm sure
we're trying to get him back.
He'll come back, but definitely, when he comes back, I want to also talk to him a little bit about this blend because this is interesting. It's the Diesel. This is a new one that they're launching, and they're gonna have a lot of hype on the show. It's called the Diesel Whiskey Row, and
I don't. We were talking about whether or not. I don't think I've smoked this yet, Joe.
Yeah,
we were talking about this, but I think all we did was talk about it.
Yeah, it's you know how it comes grainy on the palate sometimes, like the smoke. The smoke is so silky, it's crazy. Like the smoke content. I'm still trying to get to the taste to kind of articulate that, but that's the first thing I'm noticing right off the bat is the smoke content is very, very silky on the palate. Yeah, sure. Maybe he was on battery power, and it just whacked it out. He'll figure it out. It happens,
Yeah, I want to ask him about the bourbon barrels because someone told me something interesting.
Okay.
Was it the gentleman you had in the studio last Friday that was saying that FDA says you can't reuse a barrel?
I think so, but yeah.
So saying you can only use it once.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah, you could only use it once or something.
Glad you're back.
Ooh. Yeah,
we had
kicked off there.
We were talking about the cigar, the Diesel bourbon barrel aged, and our question was actually not about the cigar, but about barrels. And because I heard something about like in the U.S. when you distill whiskey or bourbon, the FDA says you can't use that barrel more than once. Is that true?
That is true. That is correct.
And so the other industries outside the U.S. or maybe sometimes inside the U.S., right, buy up those barrels to do things in the cigar industry, the wine industry, right? Is that also true?
Yeah, that is true. And a couple of years ago, there was a barrel shortage, which was a huge issue for bourbon companies, port wine, all that stuff. So yeah, you're right. There are very strict regulations on the barrel process, the charring of the barrels, and then how often you can use them.
So that explains how you came across some barrels to put some cigar tobacco in, right?
Absolutely. We had a few and at our disposal, and we were very thankful for that.
And so, do you have to send those barrels? Like, do you buy them in the U.S. and then send them to Nicaragua where the cigars are made?
So our partner, Rabbit Hole Bourbon Company, based out of Louisville, Kentucky, we have a full-on partnership. So they give us their barrels that we use, and we ship them to AJ, AJ's factory at Nicaragua. So, and I got to tell you, it was quite a sight to see AJ and his workers unloading bourbon barrels from Kentucky off a container into his factory. It was a pretty awesome. Cool thing to witness there.
That's cool. Now, is there any processing that you have to do with those barrels before you put the tobacco in them?
We do have some proprietary processes that take place. We have a specific number of barrels that we use that hold a specific amount of tobacco, and we age them for an undisclosed amount of time. So the process, this is the first time AJ's ever done this. So convincing him to do it was a challenge first. And then once we decided to do it, kind of fine-tuning the process, fine-tuning the amount of tobacco, what part of the cigar we were going to age, was all a big learning experience for us. So there's a lot of factors, because I think when the consumers see a barrel-aged cigar, they're like, oh yeah, like they just threw a bunch of tobacco in a barrel. But as Justin's describing, like there's like some science and art behind, like you said, I'm sure you just don't take the barrel as is and just start chucking tobacco in it, right? Like there's some kind of process that allows you to make sure the tobacco doesn't go bad and things like that, which is obviously proprietary, which I get. That's, I'm not going to ask you to disclose any secrets and get you in trouble. No, but we have a specific amount of airflow that we allow into the barrels. We have, again, specific treatment processes and things, because ultimately the goal is to not compromise the natural flavors of the cigar, the natural flavors that blend produces, but basically add a depth of flavor. And that's where the process becomes very detailed. And AJ, by nature, is very detail-oriented, very specific, has a very specific way that he takes care of his tobacco. And again, you can't rush the leaf. So yeah, it's having gone through this now for well over a year, as we went and learned and experimented along the way, with my many trips back to Nicaragua, it's really cool now to be on the other end and look back and see how much we learned through this process.
And so what does the line look like today for the barrel age? Like what kind of sizes and price points and distribution and things like that?
Yeah, so we just launched the cigar on June the 4th. 4 sizes: Robusto, Toro, Churchill, and Gigante. The recommended SRP is between $7.50 and $8.99. So you're getting, in my opinion, a fantastic cigar with a very unique aging process, a blend that has a whole different depth of flavor to it. For less than $10, depending on what state you live in. So Diesel's very near and dear to AJ's heart. This is actually the first brand that he ever started developing and blending. So we're getting great cigars at great prices.
Now, traditionally, Diesel could be found in a lot of online shops. Have you since kind of diversified? You know, there's certain ones that are for online shops and certain ones for brick and mortar.
That's true. So Diesel has a very large footprint from a brand perspective, and year after year there was a lot of releases. So there's a lot of Diesel product. Since General Cigar took over marketing and sales, we've geared more to brick and mortar. Whiskey Row is available all channels. I have the cigar we launched last year, Diesel Grind. That's a brick and mortar exclusive. So that will be the way of this brand moving forward, is more availability at brick and mortar.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot in the market. In even a brand like Diesel that traditionally has been available online starts to diversify, focus on the brick and mortar, and then also keep some for the online shops as well.
Yeah, and for the overall brand, and you know, I want people to smoke my cigars. I want them to enjoy. I think they're great cigars. So yeah, I want them readily available, especially, you know, with our brick and mortar partners. And that's how we're going to build the brand moving forward.
And are you scheduled to do some events to support the brick and mortars? That seems to be the you know, kind of de facto marketing activity that goes along with a launch.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of events already leading up to the launch of Whiskey Row. So we partnered with Rabbit Hole, and we did a huge Kentucky Derby party.
Nice.
We had one of our rollers from Nicaragua come down, roll cigars. Whiskey Row is kind of available there pre-release. I partnered with a company called Whiskey X that does bourbon festivals all across the country. So we've done a few national events already leading up to IPCPR. And then after IPCPR, our sales team will begin to book events. And we've got some cool event stuff that we can do activation-wise with Rabbit Hole. We've got bourbon pairings with a cigar. We actually had a couple custom bars made that we'll raffle off at some of these events. We've got some cool bourbon-themed items. So yeah, our events will be pretty exciting.
So are you recommending consumers pair it with a specific type of bourbon or brand of bourbon?
Absolutely. So our Rabbit Hole Bourbon, when AJ and I were going through this process and trying to identify the right blends and working on tweaking blends, we paired it specifically to balance out Rabbit Hole's bourbon. However, it goes well with any type of bourbon. Also, if you're an iced tea drinker, if there's certain types of sodas, but we did blend this specifically to be a good balance to the Rabbit Hole bourbon.
What you're saying is a large portion of your job has been to drink bourbon and smoke cigars.
Yeah, they really had to twist my arm
right.
to keep me to do this. But yeah, it's it's funny. And I tell AJ this, and I don't think he likes it, but I find it funny, so I continue to say it. AJ reminds me of my grandmother, who has certain recipes that she never deviates from.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of ingredients, and if I try to get her to adjust and add something else to it, a different element, absolutely not. So to get AJ to even think about doing this and to put his tobacco in bourbon barrels, it took about a year, took about 4 trips to Nicaragua. But once the bourbon started flowing and the cigars were smoking well, we were able to advance this pretty quickly.
I have 2 quick questions. Do you have any intentions of continuing the project with, say, a different line of barreled bourbons, or do you have anything that's kind of on the horizon? Because it's kind of in that experimental phase, right? You know, blending it in cast barrels and stuff like that.
Yeah, so fortunately, the response that we've gotten off of Whiskey Row within the first 3 weeks has exceeded my expectations and has been so well received that we are starting to look and have been looking at some potential extensions of this line. So to give you some background, Rabbit Hole is a really new company based out of Louisville, Kentucky. They bought an entire city block in downtown Louisville, which is basically referred to as Whiskey Row. They've got a state-of-the-art facility, and they have 4 different lines. They've got their Kentucky Straight Bourbon. They've got their Rye Bourbon. They've got their Kentucky Straight Bourbon aged in sherry cask. And then they have a London Dry Gin that's also aged in their bourbon barrels. So we have the opportunity to do some really cool things with some more barrels, some other varieties of their bourbon, some small batch stuff, some limited edition stuff. So, yeah, I would definitely expect some continuation and extensions of Whiskey Row.
I've never had a barrel-aged gin before. That's
so
interesting.
Originally, years ago, Seagram's gin was aged in bourbon barrels. They've since stopped, but yeah, it's not uncommon. It's been done before, but what it does, it adds a really cool color to the gin.
Yeah, I was going to say, does it make it like that brownish color I would imagine so.
It's more of a yellowish color.
Interesting.
It's really cool, but yeah, I'm not a huge gin guy, and when I drink this, the citrus notes, it's just cool. It's a unique experience. So your palate kind of goes a little haywire just because I'd never taste gin quite like this. So Rabbit Hole's very disruptive within the bourbon category. Diesel, we're a disruptive brand. We kind of play by our own rules. So expect some really cool stuff to continue to come out of this partnership.
Cool.
I'm going to have to try some. I'm wearing the T-shirt. This is a security conference that is held in Louisville, Kentucky, and has been for about 6 years now or so. And actually just submitted a presentation, which I'm hoping gets approved. And we're all heading out. Most of us are heading out to Louisville this early October. And we have gone there every year. So I'll definitely, check out the Rabbit Hole line. If I can't get some here, but I'm sure when I go down there, I'll be able to try some.
Yeah, we can arrange a tour for you guys. Like I said, this is a full partnership. We've co-branded items. Rabbit Hole and myself and AJ have been involved in every part of the process. So their distillery, you can't miss it. If you're down there, I mean, it's truly an amazing place.
It's awesome.
My second question, I want to get to the stick itself. Want to give you my first takeaway of the stick. And when I first light it, the smoke on your palate, you know how you have sometimes you can kind of taste it, it's gritty, or, there's a lot of smoke or there's not a lot of smoke. To me, it's very, very silky on the palate, like more silkier than others. Is that what you're getting from there, or am I just off my rocker? Because Paul will tell me I'm off my rocker and I'm full of crap, but...
Usually.
No, you're actually, you couldn't have described it any better. So, Rabbit Hole Bourbon is a young...
Take that, Paul. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rabbit Hole only uses full juice. So again, they're not one of these companies that claims to have laid down bourbon 15 years ago. So it's young, 96 proof Kentucky Straight Bourbon. So it starts off hot and it has a long finish. So to balance that out, AJ and I wanted Whiskey Row to start off with a little bit of sweetness and have a very clean finish that's not too heavy on the palate. And if you know, it's kind of a trademark of AJ cigars. Dense smoke, heavy flavor, heavy on the palate. We shifted Whiskey Row in a different direction to balance out the Rabbit Hole Bourbon.
Mm-hmm. Now,
it is lighter in body, now that you say that, Justin, than a lot of AJ's other offerings.
Mm. And now, taste-wise, I'd be bullshitting you if I try. I'm trying to gather what I'm tasting, because I'm tasting a bunch of different things. Obviously, if I retrohale, the retrohale is phenomenal, right? So I can give you that description. When I'm just regular having it there, it's just I'm not getting tobacco sweetness, but I'm not getting the bourbon either. So what am I supposed to be getting?
Yeah, so that's I don't care what Paul says, man. You're spot on.
Oh yeah, see, I like this guy. You can be a co-host, right? So again, that's part of the balance that we had to achieve with the aging process of it's not an infused cigar. Mm-hmm. It's not a bourbon flavored cigar, but what it does is it adds a different depth of flavor to this blend that typically you don't get out of an AJ Fernandez cigar. And the bourbon really comes through in the aroma. So there's not necessarily a definable sweetness, but it kind of balances out some of the density of the blend. And again, we took San Andreas Mexican binder and aged it in the bourbon barrels. Mm. So that binder, rests right below the wrapper. And it adds such a unique, different flavor to it. So again, to my palate, this is medium full, but the depth of flavor makes it incredibly enjoyable. And again, you won't smoke it and say, wow, this tastes like bourbon. But the aromatic experience, and that depth of flavor adds some different complexities to it. Right. Like what I'm noticing on the retrohale, that's when I can just start to pick out the nuances of the tobacco sweetness. But regular, when I'm just regular puffing, like I said, all I'm getting is that silkiness. And it's like you really have to smoke it slow and then retrohale almost slower than your normal to actually kind of draw it out.
Yeah, and while I sit here and use more marketing terms like complexity and subtle nuances and depth of flavor, I will tell you that when I smoke a cigar, and by all means, AJ blended this cigar, I was just happy to be a part of the process of identifying the tobacco that we wanted to use. But I like a cigar that transitions subtly. Most people like something that tastes the same from the first puff to the last. I guess you can say, being a younger guy in this industry, my attention span is not quite that long. So I like for something to have some different flavor and kind of take me on a trip. I don't want it to drop off a cliff necessarily, but some subtle transition. So this cigar, the first third, you will get that cleanness, a little bit of that subtle sweet flavor. And as you get to the middle third, the pepper and the tobacco actually kicks up a notch. And then the last third will finish with a little more of that sweetness. Mm. So it.
Yeah, I like the subtle infusion. It's very nice, mm-hmm. and it's not overpowering on the palate either. The tobacco or the what it picked up from the barrel doesn't overpower the cigar, and it's very well balanced. And for that reason, I really like it a lot. And I agree, it's about a medium for me, which is I think a nice change of pace from some AJ. I don't get a whole bunch of spice and pepper either. It's very silky and smooth. A lot of I think when the consumer looks at barrel aged, right, or any type of process that kind of steps outside the norm, there are several other offerings that I think really infuse a lot of extra flavor and juju into that cigar, right? And those have their place. But this, I think, was going to appeal to people that maybe aren't, huge fans of some of those other kind of infusion processes. This is for your cigar smoker. Whereas the other ones, I think, are more, I don't want to say they're a novelty, that's the wrong term, but, like a Kentucky Fire Cured, off the nose is really pungent, but like I like pairing that with a Bloody Mary because I don't find a lot of other cigars that pair with a Bloody Mary, and I think you need that extra infusion to do something like that. But like I'm not pairing with a Bloody Mary every morning, so this is nice to have that infusion, but have something you can smoke every day.
Well, and the challenge with this whole process was to make a cigar that the cigar connoisseur, the guy that has smoked all the other barrel-aged products, the guy that likes Nicaraguan tobacco, can be satisfied with the range of flavor, but also something that wouldn't overwhelm someone that maybe smokes on occasion, when they're heading to a wedding, when they're heading to a golf course, the guy that smokes maybe 2 cigars a month. So I think we achieved that with this cigar. Like, you're not going to get bored with it. There's plenty of flavor there to satisfy you, but it's also a cigar you can smoke morning, noon, or night. Any occasion. I try it in the mornings. I try it in the evenings. I've tried it before eating. I've tried it after eating, with bourbon, without bourbon, and the blend itself really stands up to all of that.
Yeah, that versatility I think is really important for so many blends, and for consumers to find those versatile cigars to have in their humidor. And then some of the other stuff, like I said, is really specialized, which is fun and like a really good change of pace. But what I like about this one is it's versatile and the flavors are different. Like I there's no other cigar that I would compare this to by any stretch, which I hate doing anyway. But I think the flavors are very unique.
Yeah, I think it stands on its own.
Ultimately, that was our goal. I mean, we have a large portfolio here at General Cigar. AJ's arguably the hottest cigar manufacturer on the planet right now. And there's a lot of stuff. A lot of companies are doing a lot of great things. And so for Diesel, I don't want to just be different for the sake of being different. But when I met the guys at Rabbit Hole and I understood the process and the attention to detail that they use with their barrels and with their bourbon, I wanted to present something to AJ and really get us outside of our comfort zone. So again, I'm not just, throwing out different terms and all different this, different that. But the challenge was to create something that had a cool, unique story and an experience that matched that. So again, I think this is a really unique cigar, and I don't think there's another cigar on the market like it.
Tell us a little bit about Torano and what's going on there.
So Torano again is a great brand with a great legacy. It's funny. It's so different from Diesel itself because of the Torano family heritage, because of the legacy of the tobacco, because of the blends and the vault varieties. I mean, there's a lot of great things with Torano. I always tell people Torano is the best cigar that you're not smoking. I mean, if you go back and look at the Exodus 5950 year, the Exodus 59, which was the number 5 cigar of the year back in 2013. One of the first cigars to use a 5-country blend of tobacco. We're basically going back and reintroducing those legacy brands that really established Torano in the market. As you guys are aware, we've got Jack Torano as the ambassador. He's doing a great job. We've got some limited cigars that Jack has for his events. So yeah, Torano is exciting. I love Torano because from a portfolio standpoint, they've got we have a cigar for everyone. We've got a Casa Torano that's a great morning cigar. We've got the Exodus lines. We've got the Brick, the Value lines. So it really is a great cigar company, a great cigar portfolio rather. We're just going back out and getting it back in the hearts and minds of retailers and consumers.
So with IPCPR on the horizon, what are some of the things that are going to be going on for you, Justin, and your brands at IPCPR?
So obviously Whiskey Row is our big focal point. I mean, we just launched it 2 weeks ago. So we'll have a lot of our event items there at the show. I'll have one of the bars there. We'll have Rabbit Hole Bourbon there every day. So you guys will get to really see what the partnership is about, and we'll explain the process on how we ended up with this cigar, this finished product. Torano's got some cool things coming. Really looking forward to the show, and I feel for both brands, the best is yet to come.
It's awesome. Joe, do you have more questions?
No, I'm excited to actually try it. I was, when I first received it, I was a little concerned. It's going to be another barrel infused.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Yeah, sure.
It was shipped here to the studio, and then I kind of put it on my back burner, and then when we found out that we were able to have that for an interview, I was like I said, that silkiness. Are you getting that?
Yeah. No,
okay.
I think that's a good term to describe.
That's my first takeaway for the stick for sure. You got anything coming out before 2019, like calendar year 2019, that you want to kind of give us a little push,
inside scoop,
a little nudge or something?
I can.
I know you do.
I don't have a very good poker face, so I give stuff away pretty easily. No, we are working on a limited edition, something that will be out in 2019. Whiskey Row is going to be our focus for now and the future. But I've got some cool stuff coming on more of the limited edition size, and it'll be pretty exciting. Very one of the kind stuff. Again, working with AJ. So from Diesel, again, the challenge is we don't want to be like everyone else. We want to offer something, unique and different. So collaborations are a big part of our future. Really cool aging process cigars, and small batch stuff. That's what you can expect from Diesel. And as far as Torano, we've got some great things for Torano in place. Jack and his cousin Benji Mendez are collaborating on a cigar right now that'll be launched in 2019. So we're very excited for the future.
I have one more quick question to do that. What's your messaging and positioning for the Stogie Geek listener who had traditionally bought Diesel from a catalog? And, because I remember when some of the brick and mortar relationships that I have locally came back last year from IPCPR with some of the stuff from Diesel. And they said, what do you think? Smoke this. Diesel's trying to do a big push, to get back into the brick and mortars. What's your message there? Because, let's just face it, Diesel's been known for online traditionally there. And then now you're trying to pay more attention to the local shop. So what's that message that you want to try to get out?
Yeah. So the cool thing is, our Diesel customers have been with the brand since the beginning, and our sales and our customers are engaged, and there's a lot of brand loyalty there, customer loyalty to Diesel. Mm-hmm. But the new Diesel products that we have, so take Grind, for example. Grind was never a online exclusive. It was always available at retail. So we've gone through and we reblended that with AJ. That's now available brick and mortar exclusively through our General Cigar sales force. Whiskey Row is an all-channel cigar that's price protected. So retailers will be offering it at the same price as our catalog and internet retailers as well. So the brand will be even across the board. But if you like Nicaraguan tobacco and you like specifically AJ Fernandez blended cigars and you like unique offerings, Diesel's the brand for you. It's fortunately we have the resources and the partnership with AJ to get some of the best tobacco on the planet, and we use those blends in the Diesel cigars, and AJ is committed to Diesel. He's got a soft spot for it because, like I said, he's been blending Diesel since its inception. So yeah, it's just a cool brand that does cool stuff. Our motto is do cool shit and have fun. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to do.
There you go. Awesome.
Awesome. Justin, thank you so much for appearing yet again on the Stogie Geek Show. It's wonderful having you.
Hey guys, it was my pleasure. You were the only thing standing between me and the beach today, but I was happy to do it, and I'm glad it's Friday and it's almost 5:00.
There you go.
Well, we'll let you get to the beach. Thanks, Justin.
Take care, guys.
Have a good one. We'll take a short break and come back. Stay tuned.